I've been looking at Psalm 45, one of my favourite Psalms. And Psalm 45 says this in verse 6: Your throne, O God, will last forever and ever. A sceptre of justice will be the sceptre of your kingdom. You love righteousness and hate wickedness. Therefore, God, your God, has set you above your companions by anointing you with the oil of joy. And this verse is preceded by several verses which I mentioned in one of my previous videos. Gird your sword upon your side, O mighty one. Clothe yourself with splendor and majesty. In your majesty ride forth victoriously in behalf of truth, humility, and righteousness. It's saying things, that's from verse 4, he's saying things about this tremendous herald of justice, this beautiful expression of good character and righteousness and putting things back in order. The grace of God on Jesus expressed with his anointing of grace, and yet his putting the world to rights in the very best possible way, in a way that nobody else really can. And there's an amazing beauty about God's throne. God's throne brings justice. Finally, God's throne brings his kingship, his order. God's throne loves righteousness, hates wickedness. And in that expression, Jesus carries an anointing, and it's an anointing of joy. There's a freedom. There's a beauty about freedom. There's a fantastic liberation about freedom. When people are set free, it's something to celebrate. This psalm is all about celebration and beauty and wonder and a fantastic moment. It brings out all the best of the bride and bridegroom. It just says, this is a fantastic marriage. This is a fantastic celebration, and it's worth celebrating. It's not just all on the outward. There's outward stuff, but I read a lovely story about a Christian leader, actually, and he started quite a large Christian charity. But his story about how he met his wife, and it wasn't sort of like a big chapter of the book. I mean, relatively smallish, a few pages of the story about his ministry and so on. But actually, what was interesting is she went to she was invited to a sort of date with him, and she really wanted to underplay it, so she didn't really dress particularly snazzy, and she just kind of dumbed everything down a bit, and thought, well, okay, well, I'll oblige, but I'm not planning to be around for a long time. I don't want him to get the wrong idea. It's going to be a friendship thing. And she was just impressed by his character, and she really started to think, I really like this guy. you know, I'm really interested. It's like I like him as a person. It's just I am really drawn to him, and he was very drawn to her by she was beautiful, lovely. He noticed her, but then when he sat down and talked to her, he thought, she's got character. This woman's got depth and character. I like her because of who she is. As well as being pretty on the outside, she's beautiful on the inside too. And those two things came together, and they really hit it off, and thought, wow, this is fantastic. This is a great person, and I'm attracted to them, but I'm attracted to their whole person, for who they are as a whole person. And I think Psalm 45 is so much like that. I read that, I was very encouraged, and I thought, that's what a really good relationship should be. That's what makes a good relationship. And Psalm 45 talks about the character, integrity, and beauty, everything rolled into one of the bride and bridegroom. So my prayer today is that we would be discerning of character. We wouldn't just be looking at the outward, but we would also see the inward. And it's particularly important when you're trying to discern, really, especially if you're a single person trying to consider, perhaps who to date, who to marry. But I want to pray that we would have discernment of character. That's important generally in life. And also that we would be the purified, refined, beautiful bride of Christ that is drawn to Jesus because of his character, of who he is. And as the bride of Christ, corporately, as his people, we would be ready for the bridegroom to come. So many blessings, and I pray that you would hasten that day by being prepared